Ladies and gentlemen, what is going on? It's your boy GZTV, and I'm back with another video. And in this video, we just wrapped up week 2 of the NFL with my Packers taking their first dub of the year, getting in the win column. We'll talk about that in a little bit. We're just going to go through every single game of the week, starting with the Thursday night football game. Hold on one second, boys. Let me get into the NFL scoreboard here. Giants and Washington started us off. Hopkins converts a second chance field goal, and the Washington football team gets their first win of the year. Giants remain without a win. Really good game for Taylor Heinicke, the new quarterback that went undrafted. Really good game for him. Daniel Jones doing really good running. He was overall really, really consistent that night, but they just couldn't get it done, unfortunately. Not a whole lot else to say about that game. We are going to move on to the Sunday games. We're going to start off with the Bengals and Bears. The Bears still on the fence about their quarterbacks. Obviously Andy Dalton got injured. Justin Fields came in, didn't play as good as Andy Dalton, but he converted a couple really good third downs, and they got the W against a pretty good-looking Bengals team this year. But I'm sure if Andy Dalton recovers from his injury, he is going to still start because he's having some good games this year so far, the first two. Joe Burrow, he had a solid game, but the 3 interceptions just wasn't it. Joe Mixon continues to kill it on the running game. Tyler Boyd having a big receiving game. Let's see who had a big receiving game last game. Sorry, I didn't even look at that. Who had a big receiving game? Terry McLaurin, Scary Terry. Also for Sterling Shepard, which I'm going to say this a few times this year probably, but Sterling Shepard is one of the most underrated receivers in the NFL. I'm just going to leave it at that. But anyways, moving on to Game 3 and Game 2 of Sunday, we have the Texans and the Browns. Mayfield shakes off an injury. He leads the Browns to a 10-point win over the Texans. I think Tyrod Taylor actually got hurt in the game, too. A lot of QB injuries happening early in the year. Just a lot of them. We're going to talk about Tua in a little bit. Pretty good game for Baker. Not his best, but pretty good. Tyrod just kind of underperformed. He didn't get a whole lot of chances. I think it's because he was injured. Really good game for Nick Chubb, though, on the running. Brandon Cooks had a really good game, though, for the Texans. I'll give it to him. He had a good game. Felton had a solid game. Browns are a tough team, especially when you're in a situation like the Texans. There's a lot of stuff going on around too. When we talk about Deshaun Watson, a lot of stuff happening with that. They're thinking about trading him to the Dolphins. I don't know if the Dolphins are willing to play him because of his reputation right now, but the Texans aren't willing to play him, and no matter the circumstances. Which, yeah, he did stuff wrong, but come on, it's Deshaun freaking Watson. Let him play. I mean, that's my opinion. That's my opinion. Oh, he slaps women. He's going to get you wins. If you want to be a winning organization, you have to have a guy like Deshaun Watson at your quarterback at the QB. And let's talk about the Rams and Colts. Matthew Stafford may have found his home in L.A., man. Wow. 2-0 start to his season. He didn't see that much that often when he was in Detroit. Late scores from them led to the win. Pretty solid game for Carson Wentz as well, but Matthew Stafford took over the day. Henderson continuing to put up pretty good numbers here for the Rams. Cooper, Kupp, and Pittman had a showdown almost of the season, I would say, for receiving. Kupp had 123 and 2 touchdowns, and Pittman had 163 for Kupp, 123 for Pittman. Pretty good game. That was a really good game. The Colts put up a really, really good effort. Bills and Dolphins, the Dolphins experienced their first shutout for a few years, which is surprising considering their franchise. No offense to the Dolphins fans. Tua got hurt. I said I was going to talk about that. It's tough. I don't really know who their backup quarterback is at the moment. Jacoby Brissett. That's not a bad backup quarterback, really. I feel like they could definitely work with that. He had a decent game except for not scoring. Obviously, Josh Allen did better, but then again, he played the whole game. Devin Singletary having a good running game. Stephon Diggs having a pretty solid game. You know, you're going to see consistency from him all week. If you have him on fantasy, I mean, good for you. Jalen Waddle didn't play terrible, but it just wasn't top tier. Let's go to Patriots and Jets. Wow, the rookie QB woes continue with 4 picks from Zach Wilson, the guy that Rodgers was hyping up in the preseason. He ended up throwing 4 interceptions, unfortunately. Just a rough week. I mean, Rodgers had his own this year, so I mean... And Peyton Manning actually had, I looked at this graphic, Peyton Manning actually had 6 interceptions in his first 2 starts, which is absolutely crazy because he went on to be a top 5 QB ever. Zach Wilson didn't do terrible besides the 4 picks. I mean, he threw for a decent yardage. Mac Jones obviously probably had the better game. Damian Harris had a breakaway touchdown. Carter, the Jets running back, had a fairly good game as well. Not insanely good rushing performances from them. Berrios on the Jets, 7 receptions for 73 yards. James White didn't have he was their best receiver for the Patriots. Jets played all right. It's just the 4 interceptions really threw them off. Another rookie QB matchup for Mac Jones. Are they 2-0? No, they lost to Tua. He lost to Tua. I feel like I'm flying through these. Should I slow down a little bit? I don't know. Niners, Eagles. After a really high-scoring week for the Niners, you would have expected them to come out and do the same, especially against a team that's probably not even as good as the Lions, in my opinion. Maybe they are. I don't know. That's up to you guys to decide. I think the Lions and Eagles are fairly on the same level, but I had expected a 4 touchdown plus performance from the Niners. They kind of disappointed there, but hey, they got the win. It's whatever. You can move on. Jimmy Garoppolo and Nick Bosa being big players for the Niners. Garoppolo and Hurts had a fairly competitive matchup throughout the game. Nothing too special from those two, but yeah. Jalen Hurts also had a really good running game as well. Deebo Samuel and Watkins from Philadelphia had a nice little... Man, Deebo Samuel, he's going to be a beast this year. He is a guy you want to pick up on fantasy if you haven't already. Trade for him. Guy's a beast. He's one of the best rack receivers in the league. Watkins, though, had a really good game. Shout out to him. Raiders and Steelers. Man, the Raiders are legit this year, folks. Taking on 2 big teams in the... I don't remember what AFC division it is, but they're in the same division. I think it's the East or North. One of the 2. Man, Derek Carr. If Derek Carr keeps playing on this level, he is going to be an MVP candidate, possibly even win the MVP for the first time in his career. He is having an incredible season. Oh my goodness, he's doing great. Obviously, Ben Roethlisberger didn't have an insane game. He wasn't terrible, but yeah, the running was fairly kind of low. But Najee Harris had a really good stiff arm. I don't know if you guys saw that highlight or not, but that was cool. Henry Ruggs and Deontay Johnson had a really good receiving battle. Henry Ruggs is, I feel like people forget about him. Deontay Johnson's, he had a couple drops last year, but he's definitely improved his game this year. Good game for Ruggs, man. This Raiders team, I have high hopes for this Raiders team after week 2. Raiders fans have all the reasons to be excited for their production and whatnot. Next, we have the Saints and the Panthers. After a hot week 1, Jameis Winston struggles in this one. You call him a one-game wonder, I guess, if you want. 111 yards, 2 interceptions. Yikes, Winston. 26 passer rating. That is atrocious.
I can throw the ball better than that, boy.
Sam Darnold obviously had a better game throwing. Sam Darnold's been pretty good this year. It's crazy to think that the Panthers are 2-0. I feel like they haven't been that good since Cam Newton was in his prime. Christian McCaffrey having another good rushing game. DJ Moore having a good receiving game. Just dominance all across the board for the Panthers. Broncos, Jaguars. Cortland Sutton has a career day, and they're 2-0 under Teddy Bridgewater. I've always known Teddy Bridgewater is a decent passer, but man, he's been killing it this year. 328 yards, 2 touchdowns. Again, another terrible performance from a rookie quarterback, Trevor Lawrence. 118 yards, a touchdown, and 2 interceptions. Prayers go out to whoever picked him in fantasy. Denver had I don't even know who is this guy. Javonte Williams. He had a good running game. 13 carries for 64 yards. Again, Cortland Sutton, 159 receiving yards. That might be a career high for him. I'm not sure. I guess it is. Vikings, Cardinals in a close one, but the Vikings kicker, we're going back to the Dan Bailey days where Dan Bailey, he missed a lot of clutch field goals for him, and I guess it doesn't change. Vikings are just such an unlucky franchise, really. No Super Bowls, just a bunch of,
Trash boy.
a bunch of chokes in the playoffs and in clutch game situations. They're like the least clutch team ever, bro. Seriously. Kyler Murray and Kirk Cousins had a pretty good QB battle. Kyler Murray did have 2 picks, but he also threw for 400 yards and 3 touchdowns. So, Kirk Cousins probably had the better game consistent-wise with 244 yards and 3 touchdowns. Dalvin Cook, 131 rushing yards. Moore and KJ Osborne had a fairly good receiving battle. Osborne had 91 yards and a touchdown, and Moore had 114 yards and a touchdown. Buccaneers absolutely destroyed the Falcons. Tom Brady loves to feast on his Falcons every now and then. 5 touchdowns for Tom Brady. That's ridiculous.
Fucking goat.
Matt Ryan throwing 3 picks. Interceptions aren't new to Matt Ryan, as we know. Fournette had a pretty good running game for Tampa Bay, but it was all about Brady and the Mike Evans connection. Kyle Pitts also had 73 yards. How many more games we got? 4. Cowboys, Chargers. I knew the Cowboys. I feel like the Cowboys are gonna have a pretty good season on them. It was hard to say week 1 because they played the reigning Super Bowl champions. It's kind of hard to knock them down at this point. Zerline makes a 56-yarder to win the game. Really good kicker. Justin Herbert, though, man. 338 yards, a touchdown. He did have 2 picks, but Dak Prescott didn't throw a touchdown. It was really all about their running game. Paul Pollard had 109 yards and a touchdown. Keenan Allen had 108 receiving yards, while CeeDee Lamb had 81 yards. Not as good of a week for Amari Cooper as last week, but they ended up winning, so that worked. Titans and Seahawks, Bobby Wagner, 20 tackles. That's a franchise record. King Henry, Derrick Henry, one of the most dominant running backs in NFL history, really helped them take it home. Really good games for the quarterbacks. Tannehill, although no touchdowns, 347 yards. Wilson had 343 yards, though, and 2 touchdowns. Derrick Henry, 182 yards and 3 touchdowns. Just Adrian Peterson-type numbers almost. Julio Jones having a good game, 128 yards. Lockett also with a good game, 178 yards and a touchdown. 2 really good receivers right there. Tyler Lockett's very underrated. Chiefs and Ravens, that was a really, really good primetime game. We've had a lot of good primetime games this year. Lamar Jackson finally gets in the win column for this year. And they lost to the Raiders last week, which was a really good team this time around. Mahomes did have the better game on the passing with 343 yards and 3 touchdowns with only 1 interception compared to Jackson having 2 and 239 yards and a touchdown. Lamar Jackson was the leading rusher for the Ravens, which happens quite often. 107 yards and 2 touchdowns. Travis Kelce, you couldn't get him on the ground that game. 109 yards and a touchdown. Hollywood Brown, 113 yards and a touchdown. He's starting to improve from his rookie year, or I think his rookie year was a few years ago, but he's starting to improve throughout the years. And the last game is Lions and Packers, which just concluded. R.I.P. my boy that bet $25. I guess it's only $25, but he would have won a bag for that. You just don't bet against Rodgers, do you? 255 yards, 4 touchdowns. Jared Goff put up a good effort, but a lot of fumbled snaps and just miscues on the offense in the second half.
The Lions got their cheeks clapped.
246 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception for Goff. Wow, Jared Goff led the team in rushing yards. That is a scary sight. Wow, that's unfortunate. Aaron Jones, 17 carries, 67 yards on 1 touchdown. He's back to having the games he had last year. Devontae Adams, 8 receptions, 121 yards. Baby! Hawkinson had a good game as well. He was making some good catches. But yeah, I'm not too excited about winning because it is the Lions. Like, come on. They did have a good week 1.
They're
but
gonna get their ass kicked by the fucking Bears, my boy. I'm just kidding. The Bears are fucking trash.
Y'all got the Browns this week. That might be tough, bro.
We're
Loki.
gonna get our cheeks clapped, bro.
What the Packers got? We got the Niners. They're pretty good this year. Yeah, that's it. I'm not like super excited that we won. I'm happy, but like we still got 15 games left. We gotta
It's better to fucking lose them.
we gotta keep it up. And
Damn, when the fucking NFL's over, we're gonna be like 2 months left of school. That's fire. I didn't even think about that.
the Super Bowl happens in like February.
Early February.
Yeah, it's gonna do it. I'm out.